In this video, I'll share my 2022 investing strategy. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Greatness Everyday YouTube channel. Today, we're jumping into it because the investing world, whether we're talking about the stock market, we're talking cryptocurrency, and just that space as a whole, definitely had an interesting day, and the last few weeks have been making people kind of question things. So I finally decided, after spending a lot of time moving from last year into January of this year, this is the time to release this video. So if you want to find out when new videos come out here on my channel that challenge and encourage you to upgrade your mindset, your money, and more, please go down, click the subscribe button, and tap the bell to be notified when those come out. Today is the time to release this video. I'm excited about it because when a lot of people are kind of worried about the stock market and asking questions, etc., that typically is when I perform best. For a few reasons. What I want to share with you here today are some things that I am deciding to do this year, some things that I have really made a priority because I want to make sure that the last couple of years have been extremely successful for me as an investor. I want to make sure that 2022 is as well. So I can continue stringing together successful years and having those compounding gains, which is really exciting. And that's what I want for you here. This is stuff that I am sharing, what's right for me. It doesn't mean it's right for you. So definitely make sure that you do your homework. And if you're making any important decisions, please speak to a financial advisor. Two charts I'm going to show you before I get into what I am doing. I'm going to cover them briefly because we're in a really interesting place right now. And if we were to look at the S&P 500, which is the top 500 biggest companies, most valuable companies in the United States, this is an index that illustrates that. And I mean, I do have it back very far. I'm well aware of that. We're back to like the 70s or so. This point starts at 83 before I was even around. It's interesting because I've looked at this chart and I've looked at the chart on the short term and I've looked at it on different time frames. And I know that when you're looking at something like this far out, you can't use it as technical analysis. But when I did look at this chart, I mean, you just see the increase that has happened. And as you move through the years, you're basically finding yourself here right now in 2022. And you're seeing this shooting up, and it's almost exponential. And when it comes to the world, there's not a lot of things that are exponential. And when it comes to money, that is definitely not the case. So the other day I was talking to a friend about some investments. He had a few questions. And I was just sharing with him like, here are my thoughts on where we're currently at. And if I bring it up on my phone, I'll pop it up on the screen here. This was just a couple days ago. Okay, just to be clear, this is a message that I sent him. I said, okay, just to be clear, I was saying it's exponential and I doubt this will continue. I was saying that it's exponential because if you look at the chart, yes, on a big, long time frame like this, and the world has changed so much since the 80s, since the 90s. The world is developing, technology is just increasingly faster and faster and faster and cheaper, and access to just areas around the world is improving as well. I'm well aware that we really can't look at this chart as a solid technical analysis chart. We need to go down to lower time frames, yes, but nothing is exponential in our world. If you look at this, there is just so much indication, and just kind of that gut feeling I had was that message of, I'd like it to continue, but I don't think it's going to be, because that's not how the stock market works. And that's one thing that I sent to him. And I'm really interested to see kind of, we've had a little bit of a pullback the last week, 2 weeks. And today we saw that again as well. You're starting to hear about things like obviously how the rate of inflation is affecting things, how the Fed and the decisions that they're making are affecting things, and just kind of all the money that's been printed in the last year and a half or 2 years now is starting to affect things. Like, my question there is, how can it not? Like, if we've had 35% of all US dollars to ever exist be printed in the last year and a half, 2 years, how has that not affected us right now? So that's a question I've had for a while. I'm still working that one out. The second chart I want to show you is right here. And this is with Bitcoin. You know that I'm an investor in cryptocurrency. I like cryptocurrency as an investment if you're being smart with it. There's tremendous potential if you are someone who is trading cryptocurrency, and you can develop your own trading pattern or learn those skills. You can make an extreme amount of money. That's not my scene yet. I am talking to a really good friend who's able to educate me time and time again on different patterns with trading. But that's not where I've chosen to go ahead and focus my time and my energy. But I am grateful to him and all the knowledge he's shared with me. I know when it comes to crypto, as I've kind of got in the space back here, 2017, I know that this is the best time to buy. It always was the best time to buy. I mean, hindsight is 2020, but if you were to look even at these increases that we saw here where Bitcoin shot up and then it went back down to where we're currently 2019, we're rising up, and obviously we found our way over here after a big increase and then a pullback to 30,000 or so, a big increase as well, and then another pullback. And kind of people are asking, where are we going next? Well, Bitcoin is very, very tied to the stock market. There's plenty of research out there that suggests that and just shows how obvious it is. My answer with these other things is I do not know. And I'm kind of excited about the fact that I don't know, because I mean, if Bitcoin does come down lower, I mean, hopefully it has a support here at like 30,000, just under 30,000, which we saw happen back here when it was like June, July. And that's something that we could see happen. And that would be great if that happens. It bounces and it goes back up for another run. And let's say continues this bull run, if bull runs and bear markets even exist anymore. So that could be something that's interesting to see what happens. But if it does break this support here, it's going to be interesting to see how we kind of fill this space down there. And really, either scenario, I'm excited for. And I'm excited for either scenario because of these principles that I use to invest, right? There's a few principles that I use to invest that I'm sharing with you here because in my thoughts, I look at how many people have become, let's say, an expert investor over the past year, 2 years, as it's become so easy to go ahead and invest like with your phone, with your devices. It's been so easy, and more people are getting into cryptocurrency and a lot of different kind of like, let's say, I don't want to say fringe, but I'm going to say it, fringe markets and fringe investments kind of outside of the regular stock market. Those are all great things, and there's great potential to make money here. But I think that there's been too many investors who have gotten the space in the last year or two that have only been a part of a market that only goes up. If I jump back here to the S&P 500 and I was to look at people that started investing down here once the stock market crashed, which is a great time to invest, people that started investing there, they've only seen an insane trend. Like if you were to actually go ahead and look at some of the numbers here, where am I going? Date priest. Beautiful. If you were to actually look at some of the numbers, let's just take the bottom of the green candle here, and you were to go up to where I guess the peak, let's say, of where we were. Well, I mean, just in the S&P 500 alone, you're seeing a 91% increase. And that's wild. That has only gone up. That has only gone up. And people don't know what it's like to experience a pullback. In fact, when you look at this, I think this candle here is something like 8% or so. Let's test that. Okay, if I was to go in, let's zoom in a little bit more. Here we go. And we were to test this right now from this down here. It's like minus, let's say 8%. That's nothing. That's not even a correction. A correction has to be 10% or more. And sometimes corrections last for days, really not. It's generally a longer thing, weeks, months. Sometimes they even last for years. And my only concern is that I don't think there are a lot of people who've been investing that truly understand where the markets are going, and if the market does this or that, how they need and what they need to do. And I mean, I'm figuring that stuff out on my own. I do have some experience, and I know that there's many people out there on YouTube, as well as creators, people that you can learn from in your communities who are incredibly knowledgeable when it comes to investing, when it comes to how to become a successful investor, when it comes to trading. There's some great resources out there, both free on social media, on the internet, and paid. And sometimes you have access to those things in your own backyard or in your own family that you might not know. So I'm going to encourage you, have these conversations. Start talking about money. I think money is one of those things that, whether we like it or not, I think we need to talk about it more, because we need it in life. And there's incredible amounts of potential when it comes to money, to either make a lot, to lose a lot, to earn a lot, to not earn a lot at all. And just all the conversations that come with money. It's really something that I think at this time in our economy, in our world, I'm having those conversations with friends. I appreciate that. I'm having those conversations with family as well. And I think there needs to be more people out there having those conversations. So in the end, let's jump into this. What are kind of the things that I'm looking at doing when it comes to investing in 2022? Interesting one here, because at the end of 2021, I went ahead and I put my 90% of my growth portfolio into Tesla. Now I only own two stocks, Tesla and Palantir. Tesla has been a great company to me with great rewards and great returns. So has Palantir. I like both of those companies. They are long-term holds. So I did go ahead and make that decision, well aware of the risks and the potential. And I'm still happy that I did that. I'm still in that position. I have made the commitment to hold that for a long time. We're talking years, potentially even longer than that. So that's where I'm at with that. When it comes to investing this year, I'm going back to my fundamentals. I have 6 principles that I use for investing. I've never got away from them, but I do have quite a good size investment in growth stocks. And I also have a good size investment for me in cryptocurrency. So when I look at my portfolio and I look at my crypto aspect and I look at my stock aspect and how many are growth stocks compared to not, I understand that this year, with the uncertainty that's there, I need to have a solid plan. And there's a few pieces to that plan. The very first principle that I use for my investments, and I'll show you this here. I actually, when I made an online course on this, this is a canvas that I made because it is so important for me to be able to see these principles and work through them so that I don't forget them. And I have that up here right beside my desk. It's something that's important to me, and that reminder really helps me. But if you want to go ahead and write these down, go for it. Number 1 is set a goal. You need to understand what your goal is and what the whole reason behind you investing is. Is it to retire in 30, 40 years? Well, cool. Now you know that. Is it to go ahead and get filthy rich in 2 years by going all in crypto? Well, that's your choice. That's what you choose to do with your money, right? What is your goal? And understand why, maybe more importantly, understanding why you also want that goal. Number 2 is to make a plan. Make a plan on how you're going to achieve that goal. Are you going to go ahead and only invest in stocks? Are you going to invest in real estate? Are you going to invest in cryptocurrency, Forex, something else, create a business, etc.? Make a plan on how you're going to achieve that goal. So that's number 2. Number 3, go out, do some work, do some research. You've got to do your research to understand the hard-earned money that you have and that you've made, that you're choosing to use, is aligned with your values, is also something that you're going to put to good use, so that you're going to make sure that you're going to research and understand the best investments that are right for you and your goals and your plan. Number 3 is to diversify. And if I look at my investments, I have a couple different areas that I've diversified into. And as a result of looking at the growth that happened last year, I understood that, listen, my crypto portfolio has now taken over a certain percent of my net worth. And that's not according to plan, or my growth portfolio has taken over a certain percent of my net worth, and that's not part of my plan either. So diversification and spreading out your investments, I think, is actually a really important part of long-term success, because I can be a successful short-term investor and I can go ahead and make a lot of money off Tesla, for example. Like, I was lucky enough to have done that, or off a certain cryptocurrency. Like, that's awesome. But you get overextended sometimes. And unless you diversify and unless you understand how the different investments that you have fit together in achieving your goal, that might not be sustainable throughout the long term. We've got number 5, which is no emotional investing. And this is one of my favorite ones because I think it's so hard to not let your emotions and what you're seeing and reading on your computer or listening to on the news or hearing people talk about while they're at work, right? What you're seeing and hearing, that stuff can scare you. And when it comes to investing, I think your emotions are some of the hardest things that you need to control to make sure that you stick to your plan and that you make smart decisions. So that's an interesting one that a lot of people don't really factor into making monetary investments. And then the last one here is the very famous, very popular, overquoted one, but probably not practiced a lot: buy low, sell high. And this has been something that when I have made significant investments in crypto, in growth stocks, it's been at those moments where the market's been low. And I've recognized those opportunities when we had that March 2020 pullback and into a recession. I saw that and I'm like, listen, I'm going all in right now. I took a large portion of what I had available to me, and I made sure that I bought stocks, that I bought crypto with that, and did very well as a result of making those decisions, but only because I had that plan and I recognized that was a great opportunity to buy low, sell high. Now, if I'm being completely honest with you, that selling high piece, I know when the price is high, I know when I've made great returns. If I'm looking at really taking advantage, and the next step that I'm being vulnerable with you here in my investing journey is if I want to maximize my gains, because I have had good gains and good returns on the investments, but if I want to maximize my gains, I know through conversations that I've had with friends who trade and who really know this stuff, I know that I need to make sure that that selling high piece, I need to sell because I'm just comfortable, and I whether I do this willingly or not, if it's just easy or out of convenience, I'm not sure. But I have in many opportunities recognized when the price is really high in a crypto asset or in a stock asset, and I haven't sold out. I'm perfectly fine with the gains that I have now, but I know moving forward, if I can really focus and level up my game to understand a little bit more about technical analysis, a little bit more about what is like overbought and oversold, and understand how the markets move a little bit and how they function, and kind of some of the, let's say, the innuendo that the market might suggest to us. I know that I'm really going to be in a really good spot if I choose to do that. So it's just a matter of kind of moving through 2022, making sure that I keep true to those 6 investing principles. And for me, I really think if you look at how my portfolio is currently spread out, I think buying an ETF consistently, which I haven't done for a few years now, I think that is the answer for me. I think that's the answer for me. And I'm really excited to see how this goes, because I have had great returns the last few years in stocks and in crypto. And there's something to saying, okay, I want to take and recognize those returns, and I want to keep them and use them responsibly. And that is really where I think consistently buying an ETF, whether you've got $10,000, $100,000, $1 million, I'm looking at going ahead and consistently saying every Friday, every Monday, twice a month, every month, right? It doesn't matter what the time frame is. I'm going to consistently buy in to an ETF. There's 2 or 3 that I'm looking at right now, depending on if I want a general ETF like VOO or VFV. If I'm looking at going into a specific sector, I'm kind of finalizing those plans right now. But I honestly think that just the consistent action of buying into an ETF is going to pay off here in 2022 and allow me to accumulate things. If there's a really good opportunity to present some buying in crypto assets, well, I might take that. But it's always about having a little bit of cash on the side, that extra kind of like stockpile that when that good opportunity presents itself, just like it did back in March 2020, I can take advantage of it. So I hope this video helped explain a little bit about my thoughts on where the markets are, and also kind of my investing plan for 2022. If this video helped you learn how I think, learn what my plan is, I would highly recommend that you do your own research and that you talk to somebody that knows what they're talking about. Definitely a professional advisor. They're going to be the ones that can help you and speak to the markets. But I hope that this video helped you. And if it did, please hit the thumbs up button, go down, drop your questions and comments down below. Remember, choose greatness every day. And if you want to find out when new videos come out here on this channel, go down, click the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified when that happens. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.